tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, dengan ini dipersilakan saudari Syarifah NURHUMAIRA daripada Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Agama Putrajaya untuk menyampaikan topik yang telah dipilih. Dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a good afternoon I bid the esteemed judges, the accurate timekeepers, teachers, fellow contestants, and the members of the floor. Today, the topic of my speech will be Malaysia's cost of living, challenges and solutions. As we are all very aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected us in more ways than one. This includes the surging prices of essential goods and food ingredients. This doesn't only affect the people who got laid off their jobs due to the pandemic, but also us as a nation whole. This is not the only factor of this continuous problem. Inflation is also considered a major factor as it is a global concern. Talking about global concerns, Malaysia is ranked 142nd on the list of the most expensive countries in the world. Statistically speaking, we are quite low on the list, but realistically speaking, you can see that Malaysians are struggling to provide and to adapt to this trying time. You can ask anyone in this mall and ask them if they are having financial problems recently, and you will be shocked to find just how dire the situation actually is. Not only that, it's inevitable that essential goods like eggs, chicken, and sugar are increasing in price. In addition, the healthcare access has been quite an issue to the public due to the sole reason that people could not afford them. This issue was so serious that the National Action Council of Cost of Living, also known as NACCOL, had to issue a meeting to alleviate the burdens, the financial burdens of that Malaysians face. As a teenager, I find it quite hard to make my debut into society, as now it opened my eyes just how much my parents must have struggled to tend to me and to provide for me. These days, students of my age group can't even just buy a reference book just like that. These days, we have to think more than twice. Why? Because one book costs almost 50 ringgit, if not more. Imagine having to buy 10. These financial pressures on high schoolers twofolds when they become college students. This forces them to go back to their families for support, families that probably already has it hard. One time, my mother told me something. It's sticking to my head. It stuck to my head because she said something along the line of KWSP accounts used to go completely untouched unless for extreme emergencies. But she says, and I quote, "Recently, just surviving the week feels like an emergency." That was when it struck me just how serious this issue must be. I mean, apparently there are some people who are left with barely anything in their retirement fund by the time they are 60 years old. Not only that, the B40 community that celebrated Deepavali in the early November this year has shared with us that they had to cut costs on their attire. Some people had to wear last year's clothing or maybe the year before. They had to focus on the food budgets. This year's Deepavali celebration had to be on a smaller scale for some people, even after cutting costs. Even after cutting costs. Not only that, I'm sorry. I read in an article somewhere where someone said, an entrepreneur said, that we can survive this situation for now, but if this goes on any longer, we are done for. And I could not agree more. Because mind you, these challenges don't only affect us, the public, but also business owners. For example, at the top of my head, I can give you restaurant owners, mama restaurant owners that are Mama restaurants are very well liked in Malaysia for their affordable yet delicious food. They have shared with us that how it has been really hard on them. Well, considering that prices are skyrocketing and electricity tariffs are up too, yet they have to keep their price increase to an absolute minimum to not scare away customers. Customers that seeks them for said reason. Talk about chain reaction, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, nevertheless, there are some solutions that we can practice to go through this, take matters into our own hand, and survive together as a community. First of all, I would suggest that we all take advantage of the initiatives that our government has provided us. The government has implemented quite a number of initiatives, such as Menu Rahmah, subsidies, school fundings, and the price catcher. They even established the NACCOL a few years back as a sign for us all to develop a sturdy fix, if you will. In one of the NACCOL meeting, our 10th Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, said he emphasized that the main agenda of the Unity's government is to lighten the burden, the financial burden that Malaysians are going through, and to ensure that they get direct impact of the initiatives and strategy implemented. Given that this is the goal of the government, how can we help achieve this goal? It's pretty easy for us. We can just take advantage, make full use of what the government has given us. Secondly, I think it's a very good idea for us all to stick to local brands. Not only will it cost us less, it will also help our country get a step closer to solving this problem. We would be directly stimulating domestic consumption, which will overall help with the economic recovery. It confuses me when I walk into a supermarket and see the local brands aisle completely full compared to the imported brands, insinuating that our people prefers imported brands over our own. If it was up to me, I would say that this is a both selfish and a self-harming move. And lastly, even though it might seem insignificant to some people, I suggest from now on, we all start taking care of our health better, both physical health and mental health. Not only will it help us save money, the money that we'd have to pay for our medical fees, but also it just helps us live better. Because at the end of the day, this problem has been going on for ages, for decades. We can't solve this in a day nor a week. There's no quick solution. So what is the best thing we can do? We can just accept it as is and try our best to push through and not let uncertainties of this situation haunts our minds. Thank you very much.